What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we're going to be previewing round 5. It's gather round. We're back at the Adelaide Oval against the Hawks this Sunday night. It's going to be an amazing game, and one that I think a lot of people outside of the Port Adelaide fan base are excited for, and us in particular. Not really, but it's been built up. The narrative is there. The story is there. It's going to be one of the bigger games of football for the year, and to close out gather round at the Adelaide Oval, what a festival it's going to be across the whole weekend. But this game in particular is very important for more than just gather round reasons. So let's get straight into it and let's preview round 5 gather round. I tell you what, coming into this game, I'm sitting here and I have this feeling, and I'm going to get this feeling just straight out for everyone to hear. I believe Port Adelaide will win this game. I might be delusional. I might be weird. I might be, a person that a lot of people go for and say, of course you do. Of course you think. I just have the feeling. And look, I very well could be wrong, and I'm happy to be the first person to put my hand up and say I'd be wrong. I'm dreading the game, but there is a part of me that is equally as excited. That tells me that for some reason I just think this is the week that Port bounce back. This is just one of those weeks where it's weird. Results can be weird, and I feel like there's a big narrative at play here. There's obviously the Ken playing in the semi-final last year. You've got the DBJ winner last year. This is a rivalry that's been building. It's one that's got a lot of spice, and the AFL have predetermined this battle and this fight to be one of the greats. So they've pumped it up massively to put it on for gather round. It's a money maker, and this is where I think, whilst we might be playing the show-stopping Hawks, the primetime Hawks, or the Hollywood Hawks, whatever bloody goddamn Hawk they are, Hawkball is one that's very exciting, and I don't believe for a second that even if Hawthorn lose this game that their credentials are damaged. I just believe that Port Adelaide have so much more to play for this week, and I know Hawks fans will come in and they'll say, well, we want to get redemption, we want to get we want to bounce back from last year, we want to have the opportunity to say get stuffed, Port Adelaide, basically, and I get that, and I think that adds fuel to the fire, but in my humble opinion, I strongly believe that there is just this will about Port Adelaide that I know that when they get put in this position, Ken's job is, it's already done for the end of the year, and his credentials are there to be seen, and everything like that. We know he's failed multiple times, but the club always seems to bounce back when he's been put under the fire. So whilst a couple of losses that we've had against, that middle group of teams in Essendon and St Kilda, I think I strongly just think there's a reaction here from Port to happen, and I think we'll get the job done. Now, whether that ends up being the case, who knows? And I know the crowd will be a little bit more different this week. There'll be a lot more Hawks fans. There'll be very similar split to the semi-final last year. And, whilst I'm excited for the game, and I also, very on edge about it, and I'm dreading what could be the result and the reality of it all, is I'm sitting here and I strongly hate that narrative. I really hate the narrative of, Ken's playing and the words spoken by James Sicily and everything after the semi-final. We watched one of the great finals last year. We were able to soak that in, and the AFL, detrimented to themselves, they've gone, right, you can't be doing that, Ken. That's just you just simply cannot be doing that. There's no need for that in our game. Yeah, but you know what? We're going to use gather round as an exposure for it. We're going to promote it and use it for our own personal benefit. So it's this shitty narrative that the media have caught on, and I don't like the questioning in press conferences. And I've watched the Ken press conference today, and I reckon the first 15 minutes were just purely based around this Ken playing and his reaction last year, and what this game's going to be. And like all the the promotion shows on each channels, across the socials and on TV have been, if a Hawks player or Hawks member of the club is interviewed, it's how are you focusing on? How was your reaction to that last year? We're talking about something that happened 8 months ago. This is new year. This is a different Port Adelaide. This is a different Hawthorn. This is a Hawthorn outfit that is striving for greatness this year. This is a Port Adelaide outfit that can't even figure out their own game plan. So in saying that, Port Adelaide do have a stronger outfit on paper. They have, obviously a couple of keys back in, which is nice. I think, whilst we're still injured and we have, Brandon Zerkthatcher out and we have Lukosius out and these key injuries that are continuing to build up. Zach Butters has obviously got a game under his belt now. We do have a stronger looking team up forward. I feel like with Ollie Lord finding some good form last week with his 3 goals, we'll have Trav Boak come back into the side. I feel like his leadership and his I think presence around the group basically was missed last week, and the club didn't really, the players didn't really have anyone to look to. And when your captain Connor Rosie is not out of form, but he's getting taken out of the game, essentially, he's missed. And then obviously Darcy Byrne-Jones won't be playing this week. He's out, and that's a big miss. That is a big out. His pressure up forward will be missed, and he's been a good outlet to kick goals against the Hawks in recent times as well. So I feel like that's a big miss. I feel like Logan Evans will probably be the one to miss out as well this week, in my opinion. I think Darcy Byrne-Jones going out opens the door very much for Tommy Cochran. He kicked 4 goals in the sample last week and was superb in the losing side to Sturt. So I think you'll be seeing him and Trav Boat come in for Logan Evans and Darcy Byrne-Jones. Whether Joe Berry gets another run as the sub or Tommy Cochran is a sub, who knows? But I feel one of those will probably end up being the case. And you could look at other opportunities to chop and change, but I don't think you'll be making too many changes to an outfit that's already unsettled. I think you want to have a settled lineup. We've had so many injuries and so many interruptions to players and everything like that, and I feel like if you can try and at least be consistent with your side, then eventually the momentum of the game plan that you're wanting to implement and change, confidence can build. We're out of confidence, and it's as simple as that. There's no confidence in the group. They're very confused and they're disorganized, and they're not sure. Even in the coaching, the group there don't even know what's going on. You can clearly see that. That's why I think this week, with that, all the selection and the narrative of a Sunday night footy, and this is the first time Sunday night footy will be played this year. It's a big game, and you're coming up against a side that's elite. And it's going to be a very, very promising prospect this year for many reasons. That's why I have this feeling that Port will win. And I'm scared because that's going to probably hurt me more. So a tip for this week. A lot of people will be tipping Hawthorn. But whilst I hate the narrative, I love the idea of the underdog winning this. And I love the idea of the underdog being Port Adelaide. And I love the idea of this narrative of we'll question Ken, we'll question everything, we're going to question this football club, and they come out and gather around and beat the top side in Hawthorn. And I'd rather have the reaction of why couldn't you do that every other week compared to I knew this would happen. So that's my feeling at the moment. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, but I'm tipping Port Adelaide. I think we'll win a couple of goals max. It'll be a close game. Our heart rates will be high. And it's gather round. So make sure you enjoy this week. It's going to be a very special week, another great time to be in South Australia. Let me know if you're going to any other games other than ours. And I look forward to hearing from everyone and your comments below as well about this game, because it's going to be fiery, it's going to be spicy, it's going to be a hot one. Thank you so much for watching, Port fans, Hawks fans, AFL fans, whoever's been watching. I appreciate your support and love. That makes you subscribe to the channel if you're new, for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content to come your way. Again, thank you so much for watching. My name's Anthony, and as always, it's time to gather round.